who's still got some charge in some of their devices? We still got, I think anything above 15% is going to see us through. So this is really cool that we get to do this. I mean, Chris and I have been sort of talking about the 2 days and the tone of what's been going on, and we thought it'd be nice just to even sort of summarise a little bit of some of the tenor that's been carried across the conference, and also we want to share with you some of our thoughts on particular ways in which we're using the iPad and going forward with the iPad. We've got a bit of an accessibility challenge. We did part 1 yesterday morning when we did the tweeting with the visual descriptions on. We've got, that was sort of the Duplo level. We're going to jump up to the sort of Technics, Lego level of advancement, and then we've got a little bit of a surprise at the end that we're going to roll with as well. So what we thought we'd start with is this idea, I guess, that we've been looking at the conference and thinking, you know, we know it's a little bit of a cliche to talk about how big computers used to be, and you know how small that they're becoming, and they have become in our hands. But one of the things that does, we think that a particular trajectory of thinking about how small these things are, is it actually raises this idea of them being very magical, and we use the word magic a lot. We use magic move on our keynotes, and we use all this, oh, it's so magical, it's just wonderful. But it also takes away some of that idea of, well, how do these things actually work? You know, what's inside of them, and how do we make them tick? And you know, we've had a lot of really cool coding things across the days that have tried to tap into that space. And it's something that Chris and I are interested in. One of the things that I wonder sometimes as adults is that we often make life out, sometimes to our kids, to be very simple. I think we sort of show kids, hey, life's easy. You just got to eat, sleep, and fish, or you eat, sleep, and drive a Porsche, as we all do as teachers. And I think it's something that we don't often give a really good insight into just how we came to be as adults, and we got to overcome all those little challenges and worked out how to live a life. And one of the things that's tricky too is that school can be, we think, a bit of a closed system. School can sometimes be a bit of a little goldfish bowl where I don't think it's terribly difficult to get school to be a successful enterprise for kids. You've only got them for 6 and a bit hours a day. You put the right supports in place. You sort of measure the way things are going, and you can kind of make it work. But it doesn't actually give a very good indication of the complexity and the experimental nature of life and the way that things change once you're outside of school and you're entering a bigger external system. And it's a little bit like this, this comic, my life is like a colouring book. Each day I have a new page with new pictures to colour. Being very careful, of course, to stay inside the lines. As you realise that this life is actually a messy colouring book, which is what life is, often a messy colouring book. I know in one of the sessions that I ran earlier, we talked about this idea of teaching kids just how to be successful at achieving little routines and little responsibilities across the day that we often project as being quite easy to do. When you think of things like a morning schedule, we think, oh, the mornings just go how they go. We get showered, we get dressed, we have our breakfast, we pack our bags, we get in the car and go to school. But I think that is a really difficult routine for a lot of kids to wrap their head around being independent. We've actually almost got to task analyse every one of those components. And you take something like, say we take something like getting dressed. It's like we just have to decode that into a whole other little task endless puzzle. So we're thinking, how do you get dressed? You need to get your undies on, your shorts on, your shirt, your socks, your shoes. These are things that you think there's a lot of little levels inside of very basic daily tasks that we sort of just expect kids to pick up through time and practice. But there is a real element of needing to be very, very explicit there. That I think is one of our sort of daily tasks, and teaching kids how to break things down and how to piece by piece work things out. There's a book that I love, and you may have read it too, called Hello Ruby. People read the Hello Ruby book? A couple of people. It's a beautiful book by Linda Lucas, and it's all about coding and understanding how to code. And I love this little quote from the book that big problems are just small problems stuck together. And when you think about a morning routine, say, can be a big problem, but it's just made up of little smaller problems. getting dressed, having breakfast, we can break it down, and we can work out how those things connect and break and build it into something very successful. If you've not seen Linda's TED Talk on just that idea of the way that coding links with just very functional daily tasks and getting your brain to think in that style of manner, it's very worth watching, because she's got a lovely way of explaining it further. And again, that's really my interest in coding, and there has been so much of it across the conference talking about learning styles and ways of getting our mind in that space. For me, there's a very clear correlation between the idea of how a child gets dressed on a morning and leading into the bigger coding skills that they can acquire through different means. That process of breaking down a task, putting it together again, sequencing it in their mind, that's coding. And to think that a child could functionally acquire those skills and then transition into bigger challenges and bigger projects, I think is very cool. And we're very excited about the likes of Swift Playgrounds. If people had a play with Swift Playgrounds, a couple of nods and hands up, it's pretty cool. We love it, and my kids have been doing it for a bit now. And Chris actually created a video just a couple of days ago on how he uses Switch to operate Swift Playgrounds, because one of the things that we really love is it's totally accessible, whether you're using voiceover, so you can have the screen completely turned off and you can hear all the instructions and input all of the instructions just by tapping on the screen, which we can show you. And it's also fully Switch accessible, which I'll load up this video from Chris and show you just how that works. And Chris is going to do a little demo in this video of what switch control is. I know Chris showed yesterday, but this goes into a little more of the specifics, just so you can understand a bit more about how Swift Playgrounds works with Switch as well. So we'll hit that, and we'll go into our next part then.
What
Christopher? I think there might be a slight problem.
What?
Well, you can't exactly touch the screen. So, excuse my language, but how are you supposed to do this demo, let alone build a f***ing app if you can't use a touch screen? Yeah, stop messing around. The foundation of everything I do is an accessibility feature called Switch Control, which is built into Apple operating systems. Here's a quick overview. Switch Control is part of the extensive accessibility preferences on iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Mac, and Apple TV. There are a number of features to help with physical interaction on these devices. Switch Control is aimed at users with severe physical impairment. It works with many types of switches. Today, I'm using 2 spec switches on my headrest. They each connect to a Bluetooth device called the Tekla Shield, one connected to my iPhone and the other to my Mac. Switch Control lets you perform actions such as selecting, tapping, dragging, typing, and even freehand drawing. The basic technique is to use a switch to select an item or location on the screen, and then use the same or different switch to choose an action to perform on that item or location. 3 basic methods are item scanning, point scanning, manual selection. Let's look at item scanning first. This highlights items on the screen until you select one. Item scanning is the default setting out of the box. Thanks to auto scanning, this means iOS devices are accessible via a single switch. Scanning speed can be adjusted to suit you. This can be changed either from the Settings app or in the scanner menu. By default, items are grouped for faster navigation. Swift Playgrounds is a free app from Apple that provides kids or adults a new way to learn coding. When you first open the app, you see downloadable lessons at the top and challenges below them. I'm going to open the fundamentals of Swift and complete the first lesson to show you how it works. When you first open it, you'll get an introduction to what you're about to learn. I'm going to jump into the first lesson. On the right is a world that I can interact with. I'm going to use a switch control gesture to pinch and zoom into the world. While I do, notice the cute dude? That's Byte. On the left, you will get instructions for completing the lesson. Below that, I can tap to enter code. When I do, the commands come up on the bottom. These are just like quick-type suggestions, but for code. Very handy from a switch control perspective. I will select move forward 3 times, then collect gen. When I tap run my code, Byte follows my commands in the exact order that I put them in. I have now successfully completed the first lesson. I could go on to the next one, but instead I'm going to tap the table of contents on the top left-hand side. Apple has included a ton of lessons. I'm going to skip forward and choose one. This looks fun. There is already some code in here, so I'm going to tap and run my code to see what happens. Byte collects the first gen and then turns right, but then stops. There is a problem here. What I need to do is add a for loop to essentially repeat the current block of code 4 times. Once again, I will tap to start entering code. This time, however, I will go up the top and tap the plus icon then select the for loop. This adds to my code. I will then select how many times I want the code to loop. In this case, it's 4 times because there is 4 sides to the world. Once I select that, I will then change switch control over to point mode. This allows me to more easily select my for loop. Using point mode, I can now extend my for loop to include the block of code that I need to repeat. And now I'm finished. I switch to item mode and tap run my code. Byte now gets around all 4 sides of the world, and I have completed the lesson. Back over to you, Craig.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Chris. So we think that's pretty cool. I mean, voiceover, that's obviously switch control. VoiceOver does a very similar thing that we love, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got VoiceOver turned on, my accessibility shortcut there. So you could similarly, and I'm not as fluent in Swift Playgrounds as you, so we'll go live and see how this goes. But certainly, I'm cheating already. I should have gone back. So I mean, I'll turn on VoiceOver.
VoiceOver on. Okay. Utilities folder. Lands.
So to go through.
Science folder. Opening program. Page 1 of 4. Page 2 of 4. Page 3. Page 4. Page 4 of playgrounds. Playgrounds. Playground documents.
On, you could obviously just turn off the screen.
Columns here. The world is 2 columns by 5 rows. Byte starts at column 1, row 1, height 0. The important locations are item at column 1, row 4, height 1. To repeat this description, tap outside of the world grid.
Now, I don't know if you just caught that because Alex said it so quickly and so succinctly, but he's actually visually describing exactly what the world looks like, of the level of the grids, the horizontal, the vertical, the depth of the grids, the height there. So we can just access Swift Playgrounds and run this code solely with tapping on the screen with one tap and getting to the code that we need there.
Run my code.
Running it and entering it.
Button.
It's pretty cool. We love anything that's as accessible as this.
Tap the hint button for more details.
To switch this open to VoiceOver, it's just such a cool thing. I'll jump back into
alert. Accessibility short selected. Select VoiceOver off.
What we thought might be nice to just sort of link you up to quickly too is if it's a bit of a resource that if you've got children who you work with or family or whomever it might be who you think there are particular accessibility things that would really connect well with your setting, there's a bunch of us. We all got together last week in Sydney, but we've been a bit of a family for a couple of years now around this accessibility work, and there's a couple of us with particular specialisations. We're all on Twitter. Most of us are very active on Twitter, and we're pretty reasonable at returning emails and calls and things. So if there's, did that beach ball just play a C sharp? I think it did. That's very nice. So we've got David Woodbridge there at D Woodbridge. I mean, if you know Dave, you know that he's just a master of voiceover and anything with regards to vision support, vision impairments, doesn't matter what the level of need is. Dave's incredible. I don't know if you actually look for David Woodbridge on CNET. He was interviewed a couple of months ago now, back in March by CNET, and they went to his house and said, hey, tell us how you use your iPad, your iPhone, your Apple Watch, your whole sort of ecosystem to live an independent life. And incredible stuff, and it still blows my mind. just what he uses. My two favourite things that David's got on his iPhone, one is a light meter, so he can walk into any room and it tells him exactly what level of light there is. So he could hold it up here and it would say 60% light, 70% light. And he said he walks into his boys' room, his boys' bedrooms at night time and says, "Hey, have you got the lights out, boys?" And they're like, "Yes, Dad." And he gets out the light reader and says 80% light. "You've got to turn the light out now, boys." And turns it out and goes 0%. Good night, boys. I love the light reader, and I love the money scanner that he's got. So he can, if he's not using Apple Pay, he gets out a note of money, scans it with his phone, and it reads out loud exactly what the money is. So when he's going to buy a coffee, he thinks, "I know exactly what change I should be getting back because I've just scanned it. I gave a $5 note. I know I'll get back $1.70. You know, that's pretty cool stuff. Very, very simple stuff, but very powerful. So Dave is an awesome contact. He runs a good podcast too. Of course, for Switch access and really just the whole accessibility plethora, we've got Gary down in the audience here, Gary Hills, and obviously his son Chris at I Am Macking. And I mean, Chris is always on Twitter and you're always very generous in the videos that you make and the support for others around the world who are using this same stuff. So fantastic resource to reach out there as well. We've got Ricky Buchanan who joined us via FaceTime for this photo. And Ricky, I think, probably has the most Twitter followers of all of us combined. She's got she runs a blog called @MacJournal, and her sort of focus is on chronic illness and health and things that give quality of life and accessibility for people with quite serious chronic health needs, which Ricky's fantastic at tapping you into. Greg Alchin, some people from the room probably know Greg. He's a bit of a maestro of universal design and inclusion and being able to help you set up classrooms and resources and things that really wed into the idea of universal design for everybody to be able to access things. I mean, one of Dave's things is we shouldn't even be necessarily calling this stuff accessibility as if it's just something that a few people might need. We should just be calling it personalisation, because it's just you personalising it to whatever you need. You need to pump up the text size, you need to use VoiceOver to read your emails, whatever it might be. It's just about you personalising the experience to what suits you, to what suits your kids. And so Greg's a wonderful resource to tap into there. We've got Dawn. I never know where Dawn is. She's in Queensland at the moment. She's here in this state for once. She's leaving soon for Melbourne. She's a bit of a travel bug. She's wonderful with sort of literacy, communication, reading. If you have any questions around the pointy end of the stick in terms of literacy needs, Dawn's just fantastic. And so too, Jeanette Davies, under her maiden name there, Jane Waitman. But Jeanette, you probably know as well, but she's written a wonderful textbook on dyslexia that's on the iBook store and general accessibility and communication needs. We've got Michael Harrison. I'm sorry, I skipped by Michael. Michael has a real focus on hearing. He's a wonderful music teacher, and he's got a cochlear implant and all sorts of Bluetooth links up to his iPad and his phone, and just has amazing hearing stuff going on. So you can touch base with Michael, and then me, of course, you can touch base around autism stuff and anything in that regard too. So we just wanted to sort of share a few names there, just as a few little resources to tap into. But one of the others, I guess, who we haven't mentioned either, who Chris does a lot on Chris's work, is Alex, which is the voiceover voice for Mac and for iOS. Do people use Alex or have Alex on their device? A couple do. Alex it blows my mind just how clever Alex is at saying what needs to be said in the right context, the right words, the right tense. We thought we'll just show you a real quick example. I mean, say, because English is tricky, say a sentence like this: the bandage was wound around the wound. I think that's a pretty weird sentence, and those words, wound and wound, are exactly the same word, but how do you cognitively know that should be said in context? Or something like, the farm was used to produce produce. That's pretty weird. the dump was so full that it had to refuse the refuse. Now these are tricky English sentences that a lot of kids, a lot of adults would have difficulty sometimes seeing and thinking, how do you say that word? But because Alex is just so incredibly clever, we can, highlight a phrase like this, and we'll listen to what Alex says.
The bandage was wound around the wound.
Pretty cool. I mean, what if we get Alex to read a couple of sentences that I've got here.
The farm was used to produce produce. The dump was so full that it had to refuse more refuse. We must polish the Polish furniture. He couldn't leave if it would get the lead out. The soldier decided to desert his dessert in the desert. Since there is no time like the present, he thought it was time to present the present. I did not object to the object. Dr. Love lives on Love Drive. 167 quintillion, 123 quadrillion, 768 trillion, 987 million, 987 million, 890,000, $890.90.
I'm thinking, how do you say that?
St. Mary Street.
Alex knows how to say that.
Are you happy? Are you happy?
Oops, you can't say that.
I am happy. Smiling face with squinting eyes, thumbs up with light skin tone.
That's pretty cool. I mean, Alex is pretty. You just think, who's programming that stuff? Who's making that happen? But we totally love that. We totally love what Alex is doing, and we thought it might be nice. It might be nice to do a little bit of a challenge, so, the Accessibility Part 2 challenge with their devices if they've got some charge left. We thought maybe we started with Kathy doing lovely selfie at the start of the conference. We might end with some selfies that you can do, but there's going to be a caveat that you're going to use voiceover to do it, and we'll guide you through. But you're also going to do it with the screen totally turned off, so totally black. Has anyone ever taken a selfie with the screen totally off and just using voice? Maybe one hand who helped me out with this. So what you can do, what we thought, because it's not raining yet, is it? It's okay. One of the things, voiceover talks out loud. When we all put voiceover on at the same time, it gets a little noisy. So we thought it might be something that's nice to do when we show you what we're going to do. And I'll go through it to show you, to prove it can be done. And then we've got a website here. You might want to take a photo of that or just write it down, because on www.autismpedagogy.com/voiceover, all lowercase, we've got instructions. I'll bring it up now. We've got instructions on just how to do it. So it's all just sort of text-based there. Did people get the address? I feel like this photo's been taken now, sorry. I'll go back so you can actually see what I wanted to show you, sorry. So that's the address that you need up the top there, www.autismpedagogy.com/voiceover. If you access that, and you can do it now, and get it loaded up so that when I go through to show you how to do it, I recommend, and this is the special educator wanting to model it first, if I show you how to do it while you read along with the instructions, then you'll be able to go out with a partner, with a group of people, take your device out, practice it yourself. If you get your phone stuck into voiceover mode with the screen turned off, Chris and I are going to be on the first car out of here, and we're not going to help. So take it to your local Apple store. We'll sort of jump into it and show you what we're talking about. So one of the things, and I'm just going to get it up here so I can have the instructions here while I'm talking, is you turn on voiceover in settings. Now, like I said, I'll model it first, so you don't need to do it now. If you want to sort of do it along, but if you turn on voiceover, there's no going back. So just let me model it first and we'll see how we go. In settings, the first thing, we're always very proud to say the first thing in the middle of the screen that pops up is accessibility, right in the middle, so you can't miss it. You're going to tap accessibility there. And we're going to scroll right down to the bottom of accessibility. It's got this on the instructions. And you've got accessibility shortcut at the bottom of the screen. And what we want to make sure is that voiceover is ticked. Because what this is when you triple click the home button, it will instantly take you into the accessibility shortcut of your choice. So you might want color filters, you might want zoom, you might want switch control, but we want voiceover. So when we triple click the screen, voiceover is going to kick into action. So once that's ticked, what can now happen is, say I go back to the home screen here, I'll triple click to turn on voiceover, 1, 2, 3. I'll select voiceover. I can hear
Voiceover on. Utilities folder. 38 apps. Double tap to open. Landscape.
Now, the simple
left.
way to operate voiceover is you swipe to the right or to the left to make the folder box move icon. So swipe to the right.
Productivity folder.
Swipe to the
51
left.
apps. Utilities folder.
So
38 apps.
You're not gesturing.
Double tap to
You're
open
just
productivity
swiping,
folder. Music
swiping,
folder. Photography
all the way
folder.
along.
Music.
Now, where is my camera?
Double
I was in
photos.
photography.
Book. Sets.
You
Science
can
folder.
also tap
49
on the
apps.
screen once
Double tap photography
to
folder.
select a
29
folder.
apps.
When
Double tap to
when
open.
the thing that
Actions
you want
available.
is selected, you double tap the screen. 1, 2.
Opening photography
Doesn't matter where you
folder.
tap it.
Photography. Heading. Text field.
Now I'm going to swipe
Double tap
along
it.
to camera.
Photography. Cap. P. Camera. Photo. Camera.
Once it's selected, I double tap.
Actions available.
Now,
Camera. Viewfinder.
Okay, camera.
Focus unlocked. Image. Double
What do I want to
key.
do?
Off timer. Off timer. 3
What's the
seconds.
timer?
Timer.
How do you flip
10
the-
second timer. Can't take
Oh, there it is.
camera chooser. Camera chooser. Front facing. One
Okay.
face. Small. 0 faces. One face. Small face. Facing your left. 0 faces. One face. Small face. Facing your left edge.
it knows
0
what's going on.
faces.
What you can do to have a bit of fun,
0 faces.
voiceover is level 1.
One face.
What we might want to do is triple click the screen. Now that voiceover is on, we could triple click the screen with 3 fingers. 1, 2, 3.
Screen curtain on.
And screen curtain is turned on, so we no longer can see anything that's on the iPad. So now we're in the twilight zone. Now it's just about listening and thinking.
Backwards. YouTube.
YouTube.
Double iMovie. YouTube. Backwards. Camera.
Camera.
Double tap to open. Actions available. Camera. Viewfinder. Focus unlocked. Image. Double tap to focus. HDR off. Timer off. Camera chooser. Back facing button.
Back
Switches between cameras. Camera chooser. Front. One face. Small face. Facing 0 faces.
It's got me.
One face. Large face. Facing your top left edge.
Now, I'm going to swipe
0
along
faces.
to take the photo.
Take picture button.
Take picture button. Double tap.
One face, small face, facing your left edge. One face, large face, facing your top left edge.
I'm going to
0
triple
faces.
click now just to get out of there and make sure that that's actually
Screen curtain
happened.
on. One
And if
photo.
I go in and select the selfie,
Today.
that's really cool. That is
One face, blurring image.
I did what I could. Man, Alex has an attitude.
Today.
Alrighty.
Camera, active.
So, that's me
Camera.
demoing it.
Camera.
What am I doing? 1, 1, 2, 3. Voiceover off.
Selected. Select voiceover off.
It's pretty simple once you sort of get into the rhythm. The only thing that you're going to have a little bit of need for is just a little bit of a space where you can actually hear the instructions nicely. So what we thought we might do, 10 minutes I think should be okay, just to get your group of friends together, find a space in here or outside. If you've got headphones, it makes it much easier, but only one person can hear that. But what I'd love you to do is, if you've got this link, you'll go through and you'll see it's got things about activating voiceover. It's then got the instructions for activating the camera, turning the screen curtain on, checking the camera's facing the correct way, and you'll know because it will say you've got a small head or a large one. And then you'll take your selfie and view the photo. What would be like the extra bonus point, you know, supercharged result too, is if you wanted to tweet that photo with voiceover, which is not a hard thing to do, because voiceover is just about, I mean, let's turn it back on and I'll show you. Voiceover.
VoiceOver on.
Go to Twitter. Swipe. Twitter. Double tap.
Twitter. Double tap to open.
We can then go along.
Search. Compose. Tweet.
Compose a tweet. Double tap. So you can see it's all pretty much there. You know, it's just about. It says as it. There we go. It loads up. And you can go through, if you wanted to do it with screen curtain on, you certainly could. 1, 2, 3.
Screen curtain on. Cap P. Delete. Cap A. Cap S. Cap D.
Oh, it's writing. Cap. Okay. Oh, right, of course. Well, you know, you can choose your own level of engagement. Obviously, I've reached my roof there. But if you wanted to send a tweet, you could do it. Oh my gosh, what's going on? This show is over. I'll give you... Come on, voice over there we go. Man, it's good when it works. So I'll leave that with you. 10 minutes, say we come back at 10, what's it, like 2:38 now. What if we come in at 10 to 3? And we'll see how people went. We'll fix any phones after 3 if you're not going to start. And we'll go from there. So 10 minutes, come and see us if you'd like some help, but otherwise you'll do just fine. Selfie, tweet it out. So we have a tweet that I'm just checking out 18 seconds ago. This is my first composed tweet using voiceover and screen curtain. You've got the hashtags in there too, Troy. That is pretty crisp. Nice work. Large head centre. I wonder if I sent it, I mean, you smell really wet. You smell really nice. That is very cool. How did people go? What's the general? I saw a thumbs up and then I heard it for a few years. I know, it's funny, I mean, it's going around and a few people were doing everything right with triple click and it wasn't quite getting on screen curtain. It was doing some voiceover stuff and I don't know, it's something that, we've got another one in there. Do we have, hey, let's take a look at this one, voice over selfie. That's a nice clear shot as well. Beautiful. The feature for any occasion. That is very cool. Nice one, guys. Well, I think that is just absolutely awesome that you dove into that. Here we go, 3 face. That's so cool. Something that David does that I love is when we go away, places like David and I went to New Zealand and had a talk to some Vision New Zealand centre over there, and David was taking all these photos of the beautiful landscapes and the people and doing selfies and stuff, and had it hooked up to his iCloud that was streaming straight back to his Apple TV, so his kids and stuff could see all of his wonderful adventures. And as David's travelling around the country, you think back 10, 15 years ago, how would someone with a permanent vision impairment and as blind as Dave is, to be able to take photos and share that with his family in such a beautiful manner, that's pretty incredible. I absolutely love that. And thanks so much for the tweet coming through. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Eyes closed. That is really very cool. One of the things that we were talking about the other day as well is not really related to selfies, but I was talking about music, and we've got a few instruments on stage here too, but I wonder if you can pick this song, just to lead into what I'm going to sort of talk about here. Let me see if I've got sound turned on here. It's all right. Whoa, come back. Alrighty, let me just unplug and plug. Let me just see. Volume up, headphones is on, we should be good to roll. So see what you think about this song. People know what this song is? Might wait till the melody sort of comes in a bit more. Does anyone want to shout out the name of what they think this might be associated with? Bad 80s music? Yes, it's bad 80s music. Is this just something that I thought everyone knew, but only I know? Does anyone have any clue? Yes. You're the voice by John Farnham. It's not, but it may have been inspired by this. Are there any other takers? I don't want to ruin it in case someone's got that little nugget. You look like you might have known. Have you ever been on waiting for a teleconference to kick in? Or have you ever phoned Optus and you're waiting? This is the most popular call waiting song in the world. But maybe no one here waits on calls anymore. Or they do other music versions. This is called Opus One, and Cisco came up with it in the 80s, and it's the classic sort of, oh my God, when's the teleconference going to kick in soundtrack. Do people recognise it now? It's just me. I love call waiting songs. I love. No, I need to be on the phone more. I said I'd love to make a band where we did nothing but play call waiting songs. And so Chris and I were talking about Alex and GarageBand, and we thought, I wonder if we could recreate that beautiful call waiting song that nobody knows in GarageBand with a bit of help from Alex, and maybe look at a few photos from the past two days as we go. So let's just see how that turned out. Oh, where's it?
I don't want to be put on hold. It won't be long until our kids are old. No more waiting. Make the future now. The power is here. We've shown you how. iPadpalooza. 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 Yeah, 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 yeah.
The next time that you're sitting and listening to the wonderful call waiting music, whatever it might be, open up GarageBand, tap out the melody, get some rhythm going, and see how you go. But what an amazing 2 days. I might pass back to Kathy, and thank you very much for having Chris and I sort of do a little bit of a session here.